17 members and associates of the Hells Angels are facing criminal charges in a violent attack.
Federal agents allege the outlaws sold drugs, traded firearms, and engaged in insurance fraud and even tampered with government witnesses.
We have learned there is cell phone video as well as surveillance video of evidence in this attack.
The U.S. attorney characterized today's raids as historic, the largest federal bust on organized criminal gang activity.
Retaliation is common for crimes involving biker gangs. However, it could happen anywhere because of how interconnected gangs have become nationwide.
The 3-year investigation resulted in 42 federal indictments on a variety of charges, including racketeering, money laundering, drugs, gambling, insurance fraud, and extortion.
There's a bunch of bikers up here, and they're shooting guns and stuff. I need the police now.
But on foot going towards 2nd Street. Okay, receive.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we're at part 2 of the green light on Brandon. So we got to finish up this story, and we got a bunch of other stories to talk about today. Before we get started, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I got over 5,000 videos for you to check out. And make sure you put the bell on a wall so you can get all my videos right when they drop. Shout out to everybody that takes the time to watch the show. I appreciate you. So today we are going to finish up this story about Brandon and the detention hearing. So last off, we left off on, Roy Gomez. So Christopher Sanchez, 40 years old, faces charges related to alleged assault on the Graybeards and for reportedly brandishing a gun at members of another motorcycle group and assaulting and robbing them. On August 17, 2023, Sanchez and other Bandidos arrived at a Harley-Davidson dealership on Interstate 45, south of Woodlands, where 2 members of the Wheels of Soul motorcycle gang, considered an outlaw motorcycle group, authorities said, were already on the premises. Lyons testified that Sanchez threatened the 2 motorcyclists with a gun, warning he would blast them if they didn't leave. According to Lyons, Sanchez and others unidentified Bandidos then assaulted the motorcyclists and stole their cuts. Lyons said the incident was notable because Harley-Davidson dealership are viewed as neutral territory, and members of 1% clubs typically ride Harley-Davidson motorcycles. The term 1%er originates from a statement made by a former president of the American Motorcycle Association, who remarked that 99% of motorcyclists are law-abiding citizens, whereas the remaining 1% are outlaws. So Sanchez is also facing a racketeering conspiracy charge because of his alleged leadership roles within the Bandidos. Authorities say he joined the group in 2002 and most recently served as vice president for the Simpandora chapter. James Ray Alston, whom Sanchez hired as his attorney shortly after his arrest last month, provided Ho, the Judge Ho, with what he described as more than 24 character letters, insisting that Sanchez's reputation in the Conroe area, in addition to owning a tattoo shop called Monsters Inc. in the city. I've heard of that place. Alston said Sanchez is involved with at least 3 nonprofit organizations, including Cleaning Up Conroe. However, Judge Ho ruled Sanchez's nickname is reportedly Monster and should remain in detention until his federal case is resolved. She noted while state law permitted Sanchez to possess a firearm in his home because 5 years had lapsed since his felony conviction. Firearms found in his home during his arrest last month violated federal law prohibiting felons from possessing firearms. She also said that authorities had observed Sanchez with what appeared to be a firearm on his waist outside his tattoo shop in 2022. State records showed Sanchez has at least 2 felony convictions in Harris County, 2024, and was convicted of assaulting his then girlfriend and holding a knife to her throat, resulting in a 12-year prison sentence. In 2020, Sanchez was arrested for assaulting his ex-girlfriend's brother. However, the felony charges were reduced to a misdemeanor as part of a plea deal. Now we're moving on to Mark Baker. Mark Baker, 40 years old, is facing charges related to the 2020 altercation at the Hog Shop Bar and Grill that led to the death of Adam Burns, according to authorities. Baker was among the Bandidos who responded to a call for reinforcements, as his co-defendants, Ronnie McCabe, made at least 7 phone calls about Burns and 2 other motorcyclists. At the time of the alleged assault, Baker served as the president of the Bandidos Baytown chapter, known as the Slaughterhouse chapter, and was initially the highest-ranking Bandito present at the bar in that role. He interacted with Burns, who was the highest-ranking member of the Brothers East, according to officials. The 2 men reached what Lyons described as an understanding. The groups agreed to remain separate. However, as Lyons testified last week, circumstances changed when more Bandidos, including Purfer, arrived hours later. Lyons testified that Purfer spoke with Burns and then punched him in the face. Other Bandidos, including Baker, surrounded the motorcyclist, kicking and beating him. However, Baker's court-appointed lawyer, James Stanford, contends Baker rushed over to the altercation in the effort to break it up. Despite his argument, Ho denied bail for Baker, referring to criminal history dating back to 2022 or 2002. And an admission from Baker's wife that he had hidden his methamphetamine use from her. Court records indicate that Baker has at least 2 felony convictions in Harris County, including possession of drugs and unlawfully carrying a firearm. In 2006, he was arrested in Harris County for murder related to a shooting of a man outside of a club. But the charges were dismissed after he was convicted in a separate case of assaulting a public servant. According to Lyons, Baker was allegedly expelled from the Bandidos in 2021 for stealing from the organization. Since 2016, he has been involved in 2 motorcycle accidents, one which resulted in a 32-day coma and extensive physical therapy, Baker's wife testified. While with the Bandidos, Baker reportedly nicknamed Goro, officials said. Ronnie McCabe, also known as Meathead. That's a great nickname, Meathead. Meathead is accused of being involved in an assault on Burns and 2 other alleged Brother East members, specifically by making at least 7 phone calls to fellow Bandidos. Lyons, the official task force officer, further claimed that McCabe chased one of the motorcyclists into the Hog Stop Bar and Grill, but came outside when he couldn't locate him to participate in the assault on the 3rd Brothers East member. Damn, so one of the guys ran. That's crazy. One of the guys ran inside the bar and left his brothers to get beat up. So In a separate incident for which he faces no charges, McCabe is alleged to have displayed a holstered firearm at motorcyclists he viewed as rivals at the Love gas station in May 2024. Lyons described the situation as a stare down and stated that it resulted in shots being fired, although he did not specify who was believed to have pulled a gun. Judge Ho, the federal magistrate, mentioned that the incident in her ruling denying bail for McCabe, who, according to Lyons, did not open his door when law enforcement officials arrived to his home to arrest him. The police ultimately had to break it down, the door of the 56-year-old, and take him into custody. According to Lyons, McCabe, a pilot car driver, is believed to still be a Bandito. He recently held the position of Sergeant of Arms for the organization's Cloverleaf chapter. His court-appointed attorney, Brian Mark Roberts. And then now Brandon. We're going to go over Brandon's thing again. The two-time Survivor contestant, Brandon Hantz, faces charges related to his alleged assault on the Graybeards in 2023, as well as an arson incident in Montgomery County. Authorities claimed he guarded the entrance to Bimbos to prevent Graybeards from leaving and set fire to the County Line Ice House in retaliation for the bar hosting what officials described as a fight night for the Brothers East. Witnesses and a confidential informant helped law enforcement uncover Hantz's involvement in both incidences. They also utilized cell phone location data to obtain from nearby towers. During cross-examination, Montgomery County Sheriff's Office Deputy Chantel Ward, who served as an FBI agent officer for 3 years, acknowledged that authorities had no evidence to suggest that the Graybeards attempted to pass by Hantz or that he instigated any confrontation. She also noted that video surveillance footage from the night the Country Line Ice House was set ablaze did not show any occupants of the truck suspected of starting the fire. So how do they got evidence? They got evidence from a cooperating witness. An informant was in the club talking to the police. And that's how they tied this crime to Brandon. Of the 14 men indicted in the case, Hantz is likely to spend the least time with the Bandidos, about a year or two. His wife testified previously been involved with a motorcycle ministry, which she described as regularly attending church, providing moral support at funerals for families of deceased motorcyclists. Hantz's wife testified that her 33-year-old husband was initially attracted to the Bandidos because of their perceived camaraderie. However, about a year after joining, he became disillusioned with the organization and left on bad terms in July. Attorney Scott Grummels, hired by Brandon sometime last year, testified in court that they had a green light had been placed on Hantz, and multiple death threats have been made against him and his family. A green light is issued to former Bandidos that leave the organization under unfavorable conditions, according to Ward. Hantz used social media likely to exacerbate the death threats. Grummel suggested he has participated in several interviews and created numerous TikTok videos discussing his time with the Bandidos, expressing regret for joining the organization. Hantz, identified by authorities as Gundrop or Loco, was apparently aware that the state and federal authorities were investigating him. His wife testified that if they not for the impending threat of the indictment, her and her husband and children would have left the state. Judge Ho noted his wife's testimony and ruling allowing former Bandito to be released on an unsecured $50,000 bond without GPS monitoring that strongly negates that you would pose a risk to not appearing. She stated regarding the decision not to flee. His wife was accompanied in court last month by dozens of family members and friends of her husband, half of whom were from their church. State Attorney Brian Black, who's prosecuting the case alongside Kelly Matos, argued that Brandon Hantz was skilled at concealing his activities during his time with the Bandidos. However, Judge Ho remarked that Hantz, who does not appear to have a criminal record, seemed to be admirable and deeply supported within the community and had taken the steps to improve his situation. You see, he stepped away from the club. He was doing interviews and he was talking about his time in the club, sometimes bashing him a little bit. I mean, what I felt the situation was, it is what it is. So the list goes on. Sean Christensen. Little is known about Sean Christensen, who authorities referred to as Skin Man compared to his co-defendants. He faces the least serious trouble and charges selling cocaine and possessing a .380 caliber handgun while doing so. According to court records, Christensen, 30, does not have a detention hearing or one held publicly. He hired Christopher Downey for representation and was released by Bennett on an unsecured bond of $50,000, along with GPS monitoring and home confinement. Downing did not respond to requests for an interview regarding his client, who seemed to have no criminal history. Marcel Lett, former Marine and Junior Reserves Officer Training Corps instructor at a high school in Fort Bend County Independent School District, was released last month on an unsecured $75,000 bond and GPS monitor. Let 56 faces charges arising from the 2020 altercation in the hog shop, specifically for kicking Adam Burns while he was on the ground. His court-appointed attorney, Richard Klazansky, does not condone Lett's actions, but argues that the federal assault charges are excessive for the offense. Should he have done that? No, his lawyer said, regarding Lett's role in kicking Burns. But the Class A misdemeanor in state court, they're charging him with felonies that could land him in jail for decades. Prosecutors contend that the Bandidos who avoid violence face repercussions, arguing that the Bandidos viewed themselves as being at war with the Brothers East during the altercation. According to Lyons, Lett has had a complicated relationship with the Bandidos as a black man. Lyons testified that black men are not allowed to join the organization. Lett was reportedly involved in a 2020 altercation with the Mascaderos, a support group for the Bandidos. As a Marine, Lett deployed overseas 10 times and spent 23 years in the Corps. Damn. And the last defendant is Jeremy Cox. Like Christensen, not much is known about Jeremy Cox, mainly because he did not have a public detention hearing. According to court records, he was released on a $50,000 bond, non-secure, by the judge. The 37-year-old is accused of being involved in the alleged assault and death of Adam Burns at the Hog Shop Bar and Grill in 2020. and he has retained a lawyer to represent him, Mark Bennett. And that's all the people from the detention hearing. And when there's more information that comes out, I will let you guys know. So we got other things to talk about. There's quite a bit going on. Let's see if I can get this. All right, so another case we got to talk about. This case. So this man killed a guy at the Envious Riders Clubhouse, and he was sentenced to 18 to life. Hantz gets statutory 18 to life for motorcycle club shooting. A man convicted last month for murdering of a misbehaving motorcycle club visitor received a statutory 18 years to life in prison Thursday morning. Judge Lori Olander said the Lucas County Common Pleas Court that while Ohio law gave her little leeway in sentencing DeAndre Hantz, 30, of the 1800 block of Airport Highway, for the March 3rd, 2024 shooting death of Caprice Arnett, it provided the right outcome when you take a life. And there's absolutely no reason behind it. While Arnett, 34, may have acted the fool inside the illegal after hours in the club on Beaumont Ave, the judge said his behavior did not warrant being shot. That the whole thing happened fast. The judge, referring to surveillance video of the conflict from multiple cameras inside the club that was shown during the trial last month. It seemed to me that the bar had taken care of it. Also speaking before Hantz's sentencing was Crystal Lee, a sister who said her brother's death was devastating to the family. The past year has been filled with so much hardship for my mother, my sister, myself, Mrs. Lee said while remarking that she had to quit her job of 15 years because I just couldn't focus. And Arnett's 3 children have lost an extraordinary father who had gotten a good truck driving job devoted to the youth. As an athletic coach, no amount of jail time can ever replace what has been taken from our family. Ohio's statutory sentence for murder is life in prison with parole eligibility after 15 years. For Hantz, that was bumped up to 18 years because of a mandatory 3 years for the firearm specification attached to the count. An appeal is expected. Hantz made a terrible decision that night, and the seriousness and resulting are not lost on him, the defense lawyer said. The conflict involving Arnett reportedly impaired advances toward 2 women at the wee hours partying in the club. Hantz's girlfriend and sister, according to the trial testimony, both repeatedly told him to leave them alone. So I guess this guy was bothering some women, and the brother took out a gun and shot the guy. The gathering involved women, members of the Envious Riders Motorcycle Club, and men from the nearby Wolfpack Club, of which Arnett was not a member. The brawl erupted when Arnett spat at the sister, Vicky Smith, after which she punched him and threw a drink at her. Arnett and Miss Smith ended up fighting on the floor, according to testimony. Hantz, who was nearby, pulled a gun he was carrying. Several onlookers aside. He pulled several onlookers aside and shot Arnett once in the back. His defense argue shooting was in defense of Miss Smith, that Hantz believed that Arnett was armed, was not usual for club patrons. Called the defense witness, Miss Smith said she believed Arnett was deliberately missing her with the punches because she was a woman. Investigators later determined he was not armed, so he had no gun, and he ended up getting shot. Nothing good comes out of drinking and late night partying and guns. It's just not, Hey, SS Contracting, thank you. Need more likes than 10. Let's get them likes up. Hit the like button. Brandon is a rehabilitated, good dude. Yeah, it seems like he's trying to do better with his life, Now, moving on. There was a sentencing for a Thunder Guards motorcycle club member who was sentenced on trafficking firearms. Wilmington, Delaware, Shannon Harrison, acting U.S. attorney in the District of Delaware, announced today that Robert Dorsey, 47, of New Jersey, was sentenced March 11, 2025 to 46 months incarceration for trafficking firearms. According to court documents, between September and October of 2023, Dorsey sold a number of 4 firearms during 3 separate transactions with law enforcement informant in New Jersey and Delaware. The firearms included a privately made firearm known as a ghost gun, as well as a firearm who had been stolen from Maryland just a month before Dorsey sold it to an informant on the black market. Additionally, Dorsey had reason to believe that one of the firearms he sold would be used in a violent crime. Further, Dorsey sold an informant crack cocaine and heroin over 5 occasions, sometimes selling both drugs and a gun as part of the same transaction. Dorsey was a self-proclaimed vice president of the Thunder Guards motorcycle club chapter known as the North Pole in Wilmington, Delaware. During an investigation, Dorsey referred to his role as a 1%er or active member of the Thunder Guards. He told investigators his role with the chapter's affiliation with the Thunder Guards, the fact other members of the club were present with Dorsey during the last firearms sale to the informant in Delaware. Acting U.S. Attorney Hansen said trafficking firearms, especially PMF, the stolen guns, a serious threat to public safety. Illegal trafficking guns provides individuals with prohibited from possessing firearms with already access to deadly weapons. Commended the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives for disrupting the unlawful trafficking of firearms in New Jersey and Delaware region. I want to thank the ATF, Delaware State Police, and local law enforcement in their investigation. This investigation is an example of the ATF's dedication to working with our state, local, and federal authorities, identifying and pursuing, investigating violent offenders who allegedly possess and utilize firearms to commit violent crimes, and those who engage in unlawful trafficking of firearms. ATF is proud and honored to have such a great working relationship with outstanding law enforcement organizations. Blah, 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 blah. But he was sentenced to 46 months. It's a pretty good deal. There's a lot more content on the way. There's so many cases that we could talk about. I'm going to play a couple shorts from when Brandon was on the show. Let's get in.
I talk to Vagos. I talk to Hells Angels. I talk to Outlaws. I talk to HAs. I talk to everybody now, you know? And a lot of the guys that are still in the clubs say the same things are happening where they're at. And they have not left yet. Imagine that. Knowing everything I'm telling you, saying, hey, bro, I understand. This is what I've been through too. And relating to that and still being stuck in a mindset to where you can't leave.
Like you're trapped. Like you were in the club when you did your first interview, right?
Please don't get me started on why would I lose my life for such an irrational, ridiculous lifestyle that makes zero sense and benefits zero people on the planet. There is no benefit to these kind of lifestyles. I don't care what gang you're in. There's nothing you can tell me that's going to make me believe that it's worth it. Make sense?
100%.
So I go inside, and Mikey's with two people. He was with a patch holder and I believe a prospect. I'm not sure. Shut your mouth.
Yeah,
And
what other type of treachery have you seen being in this club? Like, has there been times when you needed people and you were involved with something and they didn't show up? Like,
man, look, I know what you're alluding to, but yeah, man. So me and Mikey Cup had an issue at Harley Davidson, and he didn't cause the issue. Mikey is the founder of Beast, right? And he didn't have an issue when I walked in. I had the issue. I wanted to make a scene. I wanted to beat him up and get mine, right? And embarrass him, because there was a story that I was told that Mikey walked in on our national president at a Harley. It's like this college frat hazing turned up to this really weird, cynical level, to where you're constantly being degraded and humiliated. My former club, the way they used to do prospects, and a lot of people don't know this, but maybe you can understand where these morons are coming from, is they used to all take a big shit in these buckets, in these big tubs, water trough tubs, and every member, full patch member, would piss and shit inside these tubs, and in order to patch in, you have to be submerged inside the member's shit and piss. And that's what people say, legacy. Oh, you submerged your own family and your friends supposedly in piss and shit so that you can earn the patch that'll never jump off its back to help you in a fight. Shoulder for sure. They're in their cuts. And Mikey, on his cut, I noticed it said chaplain. Like, it says chaplain on it, you know? And I'm like, this guy's the national, president, founder. It says chaplain. And he had just got released from prison not too long ago. So when I got in there, and the Harley guy was telling me not to come in, and I was like, no. I got on my bike, got off my bike, ran into the store. So I beelined it to him, and they went, and Harley started hollering at me, And if no one believes it, call Harley. You know what I mean? Call Mikey. Call him. Ask him, hey, this little dude. Call the feds. Everybody knows about it. So I had made my phone call, but I'm pacing back and forth. People are coming in. Other patch holders, other support clubs are coming in to help them.
So what happens when they come in? What happens with you? What do you do?
I'm going back and forth, talking smack. I'm waiting. I only had a revolver on me at the time, so he had already left. I'm cussing him. He's standing there just looking at me like I'm dumb. And he's hollering. The only advice I got from my club was make sure if you got to shoot somebody, the cameras can see you.
What?
So, but if I would have shot him like an idiot, we both know they'd have just killed me. I mean,
100%. Yeah.
You had all these dudes in here. What am I gonna do? All right, we're going together. I don't want to die with you. But what do you do in that position?
You can become a member of the Chattin with Staxx show. We definitely have a membership, and you can become a member of the Chattin with Staxx show. I need you. brothers. Well, I don't know about that. But anyway, there's a lot of content on the way. Another case is 3 inmates were killed at Eli State Prison in Nevada. There was a prison riot broke out, and 3 inmates were killed, 20 injured. It was one of the worst riots out there. And another day we'll talk about that. It's pretty crazy, but there's a lot of content on the way. Go check out the videos. If you want to see a lot of videos on my page, when you're at the page, go to live videos and then scroll down. You'll see a lot of them. But anyway, I appreciate every single person that watches this show. If you want to donate, you can donate through Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Super Stickers, Super Chats. Cash App is right there at Chattin with Staxx. If you want to be a guest on the show and tell me your story, hit up my email, BillStaxx2021. We'll make it happen. I appreciate everyone that takes the time to watch this show. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, start your own fucking podcast. And remember, don't be a bitch.
And all new at 5, a major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged. And investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen.